am so excited to talk to this guest today. Yuri Lowenthal is here at Sideshow.
I'm at Sideshow and I'm never leaving. You guys, this is the craziest. This is what I've always wanted.
Yuri's moving in, set up a cot for him.
Right, like this place and Guillermo del Toro's place.
Have you been?
No.
Oh God!
Bleak House,
I got really excited for a second.
No, I'm one of these days. I know people who have, and yeah.
So do I.
Yeah, they're probably still hiding out in a closet.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, okay.
But
okay,
look, let's talk about you. Let's talk about you because you've done so hard. You've done, if anyone ever goes on your IMDb page, it is forever scrolling. You've been in 50 million things, things that I didn't even realize you were, and I definitely played or watched, and I was like, oh, hey. And we actually, know each other in real life. We have, mutual friends and things like that, so it's kind of like, wait, I've listened to this guy talk how many times, and I'm just now realizing he's done XYZ.
Sorry, question mark?
No, sorry, not sorry.
Sorry.
Hashtag sorry, not sorry.
Okay.
So, what a feat it is to play Spider-Man in one of the best Spider-Man games ever. That came out last year. How did that feel?
It is a dream come true.
Yeah?
I don't know that I'll ever... God, it's going to be hard to top that. I've said that a couple of times in my career, but this one, honestly, is going to be hard to top.
Was there an audition process for you for Yes? Are you allowed to talk about it?
Yeah, I'm allowed to talk about it. Or at least, if I'm not, then they should have gotten me the last time I talked about it.
Well, should have signed that paper.
Right, exactly. It was a long process. As a matter of fact, they had already, I think they had cast at least one person before me. That didn't work out, and that happens all the time. I've gotten fired from stuff in the past. I know what that's like.
That's the biz, unfortunately.
Yeah, you're not a professional until you've gotten fired.
For a job you haven't even done yet.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Sorry, it's not going to work out.
Exactly. And there was it was an interesting process because I had worked with Insomniac before, and it was the game they had just come out with, Sunset Overdrive, and so there were a lot of people who were sort of against me doing it because they're like, that's that guy. He can't also be this guy. But luckily, I had my sort of heroes over there who were like, no, trust me, bring him in. We think he can also be this guy.
Oh my gosh.
But then I auditioned with a bunch of other talented people who I work with on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And who any one of them could have gotten this.
Right.
And I'm just glad it was me.
And how did it feel to get that phone call from your agent or from the people and be like, hey, you're in?
It was amazing. But I also don't think that the weight of it hit me right away. I think there's a part of it that still hasn't.
Really?
In a way.
Wow.
Because I think if it does, my heart will explode or something.
Oh, no.
And or if it does, if it fully hits, if I allow it to fully hit, I won't be able to do my job.
Right. Like
because
it'll
it's too
consume you
big.
instead.
I grew up reading comic books and playing video games, and
you're synonymous. Your name is like when people type in Spider-Man, your name comes up in Google, which is let that sink in for a second. I'm so sorry. Well, we have so many questions because we're so excited for you to be in studio today. So we have a lot of fan questions.
I'm ready to answer them.
Let's get to them. But before that, while I'm waiting for this to load, I wanted to know because there are, I think you can unlock about 28 suits at least from the game, right? Do you have a favorite one?
I have a few favorites. I love this one right here, the Spider-Punk suit. Yes. Scarlet Spider is also great.
Scarlet Spiders are great.
Future Foundation suit. Everybody's like, you like that suit? I'm like, yeah, it just looks awesome, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course, but I'll always have to go back to Advanced Suit because that's kind of mine. Now.
Yeah, it really is.
It belongs to obviously everybody who worked on the game, but
special place in your heart.
It's kind of mine now. Yeah. And but there are cool looking suits, not cooler than the Advanced Suit, but definitely.
There's so many of them. I mean, it's like it's a whole thing to unlock them because I was looking through just the photos of all of them that you could possibly have, and there's one that really jumped out at me. It doesn't have any special powers. It's got the Quip power. It's the it's the comic one.
Yeah.
That's with the dark, very, and it's just so funny because the superpower is he just trash talks his opponent. And that's it. Right. No additional punches, damages, whatever. And I was like, yes,
what do you need besides quips?
That's
really?
it. That's all I need.
Quip.
Instead of quip. It's on camera, so now you just became a meme.
Forever
maybe?
Immortalized, right?
I'm so sorry.
Wow, he really does suck at making jokes just like Spider-Man.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Great. Thanks, William.
Maybe your audition, they're like, tell us a joke.
Right.
Great, you're in.
Right. You're in. But that was terrible. That's why you're in.
That's what we were looking. Exactly what we were looking for. Wouldn't
Yeah.
that be the dream? You could tell bad jokes and be able to get a job.
It's kind of.
I would get all the jobs. My jokes are really
You know,
awful.
it's weird being able to say bye to my 3-year-old and to go. I mean, well, it hasn't been recently until they call for that. There's a second game out there, right? You're writing it. And my phone's gonna ring soon. But to get to tell my son, yeah, Daddy's got to go to work. He's Spider-Man today. Like there's
Does that
nothing.
sink in for your kid?
Not yet. I don't know what he thinks when I say. He may actually think that I'm Spider-Man.
I mean, when you're wearing a hoodie
Right,
and you sound like
yes.
Spider-Man, it's
Right.
kind of hard to detach
Yeah,
from the two.
he may actually think his daddy's Spider-Man.
Art imitates life.
And I'm not going to.
He doesn't need to know.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell him any
know.
different.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we have so many questions from our fans, so we're going to jump right into it. First one comes from JJ, who writes, what is your favorite character that you voiced? And also, two-part question, what is on top of your bucket list to voice?
I can't pick a favorite.
Okay.
Because there have been, thankfully, too many good ones. Spider-Man has got to be near the top. In the beginning of my career, I played the Prince in the Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time.
Wow.
And that still will stick with me. I will forever love the Prince. I got to play Superman once on a cartoon, and I thought I was gonna have to retire after that, and I got to keep going. Sasuke on Naruto, just because he's so in the
cool.
like so many people love that show.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to play him for so.
That's great.
Ben Tennyson on Ben 10.
Yeah.
It's been great. Kuma on Afro Samurai. Okay, so I can't pick a.
So you don't have a favorite.
Bucket list.
Yeah.
Batman. Which I'll always, auditions come out for Batman. I will always send in an audition, even though.
Of course.
Even though my voice is more Robin than Batman, who I have played. I'll always try.
Look,
like that and the Joker, I will always.
You gotta pull a Simu and put it out in the universe.
Right.
You gotta tweet at the people and you gotta just put it out there, and then you never know. Your phone's gonna ring and be like, "Hey, you want to be Batman? No audition necessary."
Yeah. Well,
Why not?
okay, fair
Put
enough.
it out there.
I want to play Batman and the Joker in the same thing. No, I'll take either of those. Or working with Steve Conrad lately. Is anybody watching? Nobody's watching Patriot. You should watch Patriot on Amazon Prime.
Ooh. Okay.
Sorry, I know we diverted for a second.
That's
or
okay.
Perpetual Grace Limited on Epix.
That does look like a sell trailer for
It's
that. Looks fantastic. It's
yeah.
on the list.
People should just give this guy all the money.
I mean, I'm willing.
Anyway,
I'm willing to give it a try, at the very least.
Great.
This one comes from Jamie Dewberry, who writes, as a writer, is there any existing universe, say Star Wars, Marvel, DC, and etc., that you would like to contribute a story to, but haven't had the chance yet?
Oh my God, yes, all of that. I grew up in so many different, back in the days when we didn't separate fandoms. Like I was just a fan of everything. I'd love to write, for horror and sci-fi and comic books. And I'm writing currently a comic book that my wife and I, for a character that we created together, and we did a short film about, which we are developing a pilot for and everything. So I'd love to. The character's Topsy McGee. It's a sort of steampunk universe.
Oh my gosh, amazing!
It is, yeah, it's sort of alternate Victorian timeline thing, and it's an adventure series that's great. Top of my, and kind of a big Doctor Who fan. I'm a big Whovian from way back. Yeah. It would really be a question of what do I, anything in like the sort of Lovecraftian Cthulhu ridden world, Gothic horror. Okay, let's just stop because I love that.
But
stuff.
I love all those choices.
Yay!
Yay! So this is your first time at Sideshow today, right?
Yeah.
So obviously we're really into, if you couldn't tell, really into collecting things.
Yeah.
What do you collect? How do you celebrate your fandom?
I have always collected stuff, and I've definitely collected less recently, just because it got out of control. And I have more stuff in storage than I have out in my office now, and I just don't know when it'll come out again. And so I've had to put a bit of a. I also have a child now, so
important.
It becomes and it becomes increasingly complicated to tell my son no, you can't play with Daddy's toys. Sorry, there's a
Toys
line in the
for
sand.
adults
It's, yeah, exactly. Maybe when you're older,
your
you get
Batman
to look
voice.
at them, right? Yeah, exactly.
No toys allowed.
I'm Spider-Man. You can't play with my toys. Spider Cop. Spider Cop says you can't. Spider Cop is as close as I'll get to maybe playing Batman.
Hey.
I never thought about that, but it might be true.
Do you have any, when you collect things, any specific characters that you have more than most?
Old Japanese monster toys is definitely one.
Yes.
All sorts of old Toho things and Godzilla and Gamera, and I've got many different versions of old, giant robots, things, everything from early stuff to like Pacific Rim. I have up there. I have characters
Nice.
that I've gotten to play. I try to collect as many of those as I can, and I always get mad when they don't do toys of something that I've worked on. I'm like, come on, guys, get it together. I'll pay. I'll buy them. But yeah, I need these.
You'll buy all.
I'll buy all of them. Just make them. That was a sad thing about when I played Superman on Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah.
They had a merchandising deal that got messed up at the last minute, and so I got to see prototypes and then never got the toys.
How
so
heartbreaking, because you were so close.
The closest we got were McDonald's Happy Meal toys for those.
I mean,
which were great. I'm glad I have them. I have all of them. If anybody needs one, I've got boxes of them.
How many times did you have to drive through? Because it's random
We got
every
to a point. Yeah, I know. We got to a point where my wife and I would, if she was driving by McDonald's, she'd just pull up and go, hey, I just need to buy Superman toys.
Yeah.
And they're like, we can't do that. She's like, how much do you want? Like, and
They
we
can
just
do
work
it
deals
if
with
you ask the right
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
if you
yeah.
catch them on, if not, just try them next McDonald's, because there's
Yeah.
always like 5 on like one block.
Yeah.
So you're good. That's actually kind of cool to
Yeah.
have your own.
Yeah, and
Happy-
I'm
happy
a
toy.
big fan of the Hellboy and then all things BPRD, and
Nice.
so I've got a lot of that. I've
Amazing.
got some Sideshow stuff up there. Yeah,
Nice. You're a collector.
Yeah.
Don't be
a
shy.
little bit.
Our next question comes from Andy, who writes, are you a fan of any other comic book characters or franchises?
Yes, a lot. One that's always been very close to my heart and is finally getting a little bit of the love is Moon Knight.
Oh.
Moon Knight is like Marvel's Batman, but even weirder and more interesting in some ways. I mean, the mythology is crazy, and I fell in love with Moon Knight when Bill Sienkiewicz was doing those comics in I don't know, it must have been mid '80s, and I've never gone back. Like he will always be.
Yeah.
But I don't read as many comics as I used to. I just find it hard to keep up. I will go out and buy things when writers that I love are writing something, or if somebody I mean, nowadays it's not even that anymore. Like I can't even keep up with all those people that I love. It's when somebody recommends something, I will go. I had to just ditch my pull box years ago because I couldn't even read all the comics that I wanted to collect. So
It is actually hard to like find time, because I have comics that's been sitting collecting dust, and I'm like, I will get to it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I set that like 40 tomorrows ago.
know. And I'm a collector and I don't throw anything away.
Right.
And comic books take up space.
They take up space. They're little until they all come
Yeah.
together and they form this like giant stack.
Yeah.
That's they're like, read me.
And when I was a kid and collecting, indie, when indie comics were booming in the 80s, I was like, I'm gonna buy. I know there are only like 3, Tim Vigil's grips, 250 copies, 350 copies were printed or whatever. I'll buy 5 and then I'll invest and then I'll sell them later, on
Yes.
at could be this pre-eBay, like at a convention, a comic book convention, and I have yet to sell a single goddamn comic book.
Yeah. I can't tell
Like,
you how many
I've just
Spawn
still got
things
them
are in my
all in
garage
my-
right now. It's
Yeah. I don't.
still there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got old graffiti press, Grendel, hardbacks, and like all this. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man.
Well, our next
Too much
question comes from Misty, who writes, what are some of the most memorable moments you've had on a job, like meeting other voiceover artists or going to cons, etc.?
Because I used to go to cons before I got into this business, I'm in this weird, I was once on one side of the table and I'm on the other side of the table thing, and I feel like somehow I snuck in through a back door, and now when I'm in a green room at a convention and I'm, in there with, somebody who I've, hugely respected or love their work, I feel really weird even going over to them. I still want to give them their space, and it's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
And certain shows I'll work on, they'll often cast from, celebrity type people. And it was always like working on Ben 10. It was always fun. One of my favorite things was showing up at the studio and seeing who was on the sign-in sheet, like who had signed in, and then I'd be like, oh no, that person is actually in there. I can't believe. That's right, exactly. How do I approach them? Do I just do I play totally cool, or do I totally nerd out on them? Like David McCallum from the Man from Uncle. I like when he started. He played a recurring character and I just, for the longest time, I felt like I shouldn't even go and say hi. He's probably too cool for that. Like, and he was the nicest guy in the world. But all these people that, and Clancy Brown, like the first time I met Clancy Brown, I was like, just be cool, man, just be cool. But thankfully that happens a lot. Or I'll go to a convention and, I'll get to meet people from, whatever, that I haven't worked with, but. We get to hang, like the Battlestar, people from Battlestar Galactica.
So cool.
Whatever, and we're hanging out. It's a cool. It's like I don't think I could have landed on a cooler job, or like a job that was more suited for me. Are you used to that too? Kind
of being amongst these talented.
I don't know that I'll ever be used to that.
That's kind of refreshing though. Like you're not jaded, you know what I mean? You're not like, oh, so and so is here. It's kind of always like wow, so and so is. Like I think it's really awesome to be able to be surrounded.
Yeah.
By those people.
I will usually end up not talking to them, to be totally honest. I'm too afraid of messing things up.
Really? Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. Has anyone come up to you and kind of like stuttered or be like they know who you are, but they didn't know how to approach?
I don't think so. I mean, every now and then I will be surprised when somebody like that knows what I've done.
Yeah.
But because I'm not as well known, for my face, people, they'll walk right by me, which is great on one hand. I can't even imagine the lifestyle, of somebody who, you watch their show every week and they can't. Because I was just at a convention in New Zealand and we had a bunch of people who were on like Lucifer and some of those people, shadow hunters, that they could not. We could not get a block with those people. We were going out on tours and stuff like that, and we could not get a block without somebody saying, "Hi, can I?" And they were all very gracious and super nice, and which is, I think, as much as you can, how you should be. And you've got to also live your life. And if somebody ever, if you ever approach somebody on the street and they're like, "I'm sorry, man, I don't have time for a picture or an autograph,"
just
gotta let it go and be happy that you saw that person.
Yeah.
And because I live in Los Angeles, I see people all the time, and I just like they're living their life. Except for one time when I went up to Jake Gyllenhaal, and that's a story for another time. We'll get into that. Yeah.
Another time.
Do you have a bottle of bourbon?
After hours, Sideshow.
Sorry, Jake.
Yeah. Wow. I love that story. Our next question comes from Jamie Dewberry, who writes, "What projects have you worked on that exploded in popularity more than you expected?" You worked on so much, so
you never know what's going. If I've learned anything, it's you never know what's going to. There was when I was doing voices for Dragon Age Origins early on. There was a little character named Sandal who had one line. He would repeat it over and over because he's adorable that way, and he would just say enchantment. Oh. Like he was everybody's special little friend dwarf, like who then turns out to be more of a badass than anyone expected.
Nice.
But like we did that, and I walked away, and I had bigger characters on that, and everybody always comes back to me for that one little character.
Amazing.
It's weird. You can never tell what's going to be big, and then things you think are going to be big, like when I was working on Sunset Overdrive before. I thought that game was gonna. I loved it. I loved working on it. I loved the game, and I'm like, this is what the world needs right now. But apparently they didn't, which surprised all of us. But so you never know. You can never tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All you can do is kind of just like put your best work out there and kind of let the fans and everything just
exactly. And everybody's
the best you've got.
Yeah, and that's another thing too is, everybody's gonna love something. Mm-hmm. And even the things that most people don't love, somebody's gonna love that. And the things that everybody love, there'll be somebody who's just like dead set against it. You can't worry about that stuff.
I love this next question I have because you voiced so many characters. So this question comes from Granite Grizz, who writes, which of the characters you voice would win in a no-holds brawl of all the characters you voiced?
Oh my god.
And you voiced some pretty epic superheroes.
Yeah.
So think on that for a second.
You know, it would, and we've seen this more often than not. It's hard to beat Superman. Mm-hmm. Like, if no holds barred. But Superman is never no holds barred. Like, that's what makes him interesting. Is he's, there he has lines that he will not cross. I mean, Batman does too, but he's crazy. So I think I'd have to go with Superman in a no holds barred situation. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty reasonable choice.
Yeah.
I think so. And we're gonna move on to our next question, and this is also from Jamie Dewberry, who writes, "Which do you like better, live action or voice work?" They're very different.
Yeah, they are very different, and that's why I hope that I will never have to just choose one over the other. I believe all acting comes from the same place. But then you have to flex different muscles, and you have to tune it for what your medium is. And in that same way, like a part of me, a part of my heart, is filled in different ways by those different things.
Yeah.
So if I don't do like plays for a while, if I don't do theater for a while, there's a part of me that starts to atrophy and starts to really want that.
Yeah.
And I'll have to try to find a way to do some live stage stuff. And the same way with live action, and I mean, voice acting, thankfully, has been hot and heavy for a while, and I haven't had to feel like what it would be to not, have that at all.
Yeah.
But I think I need to do all of those to stay completely happy.
Yeah.
So I don't think I could ever choose. I love the rush of being on stage, in a live situation. I love the world of filmmaking and storytelling, in that way, and I love the fact that in voice acting you can play all these characters that nobody would ever ask you to play if they could see you. If you can sound right for that character, you can play that character, and it opens as actors. How we always get pigeonholed into one thing, or we're but when in voice acting it's very empowering for an actor, I think, and so I hope that I'll never have to. I mean, I'm not 23. And I'm playing a 23-year-old Spider-Man.
I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I think you sound great.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we even got to do, and that was what's interesting about video games these days is we got to do the performance capture for that too. Now, obviously, whenever Spider-Man was doing something like super cool, flipping around, that was my super talented stunt double. Either Ross or Seth, if you're out there watching, which you're not. But for those people, just to let you guys know, Ross and Seth are the real Spider-Man. I'm anytime Peter Parker's doing something awkward or Spider-Man is just mostly standing there or walking around, that was probably me. Mm-hmm. But anytime Spider-Man's doing something cool, that was probably Ross or Seth.
So I think that's what's so interesting about like video game voiceovers is now they're kind of you're not just in a booth by yourself and like reading the script. It's motion capture. So you get to do a lot of action on top of it.
Yeah, or a combination of the two. I mean, a lot of my stuff was definitely recorded in the booth, but the majority. But for cutscenes, they would have us as a cast recording, and sometimes it was me and a stunt person performing together at the same time, and they were capturing my face and his body movements. And it was like this really cool dance that we were doing.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was like getting to do a play again. Like some of my what I need to get fulfilled by doing like a stage performance got done when we were doing the performance.
In one
capture.
Session.
Yeah.
Which I think it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, and it was cool because I did plays and then I did voice acting, and now plays is voice acting. So yeah.
You're like one of those lucky people that get to do everything kind of in one shot, which is nice, because I think most people it's kind of like they one day they go out for an audition or a job and it's acting, and another day it's voiceover, so they have to kind of make that mental switch in their head where you kind of get to flex all the muscles all at once.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty freaking awesome. Our next question is also from Jamie. Jamie just got all the questions for you.
Thanks, Jamie.
Jamie writes, what past characters from a completed project would you like to see brought back for another installment?
More Spider-Man, please.
Yeah.
We talked about the prince from the Prince of Persia. I would love, and I know they've done a few games, but it's been a while, and I still miss that guy. I would love to come back to that. I'd love more Afro Samurai. I don't know if we'll ever get that, anymore. I'd love Legion of Superheroes was cut short too soon. And I'd love, and now, a lot of like with Young Justice, now with, DC streaming service, that stuff comes, it's a possibility that, that was truly that was like a career high for me, and I would love for that show to come back and to play Superman again.
Yeah, and get the toy this time.
Yeah, I know, right? just so you guys make toys. I've fallen in love with a lot of characters in the past. I'd love to. I would arguably come back. Like, if anybody's like, would you ever come back to play that role again? Yeah. In most cases, I would say yes, without a doubt.
Our next question comes from, hey, it's not Jamie, it's Joe. Joe writes, I might mess up this person's name, Casey Kasem?
Yeah, great.
His work influential to you, and are you super freaking excited about the Russo brothers' Battle of the Planets movie announcement?
Oh my God,
I was in Hall H during that moment.
Were you
freaked out? Everybody freaked out.
I mean, at this point, I'm super excited when the Russo brothers make any kind of announcement.
This is true.
That's gonna be. I mean, we'll see. It's an interesting one for them to choose, but I'll be first in line for that.
Yeah.
And Casey Kasem, I don't know exactly what kind of touchdown, as an actor, Casey Kasem provided for me, but we were all influenced by. I mean, we all watched Scooby-Doo growing up, or listened to the radio, so it's hard not to. And here to have heard some outtakes, Casey Kasem outtakes, but
do you quote him every now and again, like his little sound bites?
I mean, Shaggy. I quote Shaggy.
Yeah.
But I don't know about influence. I mean, unless it's just sort of like a pop culture influence.
I think it is more so that.
Yeah.
To kind of I mean, we've all. I think depending on what age bracket you are, I won't age myself, but I think you at least know the name.
Yeah. Right, exactly. The fact that I was very fluid with that, or that I talked about collecting comics in the mid '80s. But I mean, everybody. Yeah, it's not hard to find out that I'm an old man masquerading in a young man's body.
You are
right,
today.
exactly.
You are 23.
Exactly.
And we have a couple of more questions for you. This one comes from Frederick, who writes, "Any upcoming voice and live action roles you can tell us about?"
That's always a tough question.
I know,
because everybody, I literally had to sign multiple NDAs to come in here today, just to look at all the pretty things and not talk about them. I
don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing too. There are ones that I'm like, maybe I can talk about that, but it's probably best that I don't. So I'm gonna say no, that there is stuff, and that I've not retired yet.
Okay, I can help you segue into that.
Okay.
To where can they follow you on social media to find the latest?
I will
updates?
always update.
About Yuri.
I'm the best on Twitter.
Okay.
And I'm easily stalked on Twitter. I have an Instagram account too that I post to, because people are like, you have to post on Instagram more. But I'm mostly found on most easily stalked on Twitter.
Nice.
And if I could just go, rather than something that's coming up, there was something from last year that if you can, I think you can still watch it on the Geek and Sundry channel. Orbital Redux was one of the greatest. It was a live sci-fi show, weekly sci-fi show that we did. And if you can watch that on Geek and Sundry, go back and watch that. It was truly one of the greatest, most challenging, hardest projects I've ever done.
Amazing.
It was like a play, but it was live streamed, and all the effects and all the editing and everything was all the music, all was performed live. Everything was live. And it was a super high wire act that I'm immensely proud of that nobody really saw.
Yeah.
So maybe you can go out there and
now.
check out Orbital Redux. Yeah.
Until now, everybody's going to be Googling this now.
Yeah.
Geek and Sundry's going to be like, hey, how can we have all these hits on
Orbital Redux? What happened today? Yeah.
Yuri talked about it. Well, you are here because we were talking about your role as Spider-Man. So you actually signed a copy of the game. Look at that right there.
Yeah.
And it says, what does it say?
It says Mary Thwipmas.
Yes, amazing. So we're going to go on a quick break, and we are going to tell you how you can get your own copy. This copy that I'm holding in my hand. Thank you so much for coming. You guys, don't forget to follow Yuri everywhere. Is it just at Yuri Lowenthal?
At Yuri Lowenthal, yeah, on both
everywhere,
Instagram
but Twitter is better, right?
Yeah. You're more likely to get some sort of response on Twitter.
I'm gonna tweet you and test you on that.
Fair enough. Can I touch this now?
Touch it. Thank you so much, Yuri. We will be right back.